Yeah, he's the best editor in town. I've never met somebody as good as Caleb. Caleb is a hustler, man. He's a grinder. Thank you for the coffee, by the way, man.
Yeah. Wait, you've been on Grinder too?
This guy, this guy, he thinks he's so funny. This is JaySpanks, man. This is JaySpanks. I just met this man today. Caleb has talked about him a ton. This guy has nearly 5.2 million followers and subscribers across all his platforms. Did you know that? Me and Caleb looked it up before this, so we were prepared. We were ready to go. So this guy definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to social media content. He knows the game. He has the sauce. So I actually want to start out, usually when I do my podcast, I say, welcome to the Righteous and Real podcast, where real talk empowers real change. I'm your host, Emilio, and then I would introduce the guest, right? Okay. Do you think that's like cliche, or do you think I should do something else to garner eyes?
That sounded like a great intro to me.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the Righteous and Real podcast, where real talk empowers real change. I'm your host, Emilio Aldana, the fourth, and you already know, I already introduced JaySpanks here, so we can get right into it, man. How you been today? Good?
Pretty good. Pretty solid. I am a little bit hungry.
Yeah.
But, we'll eat after this.
Yeah, dude, right on the pod. Right, I'm a fitness coach, bro. You can't be eating pizza right in front of me, bro. Like, because I'm definitely not gonna have some
behind your back next time.
Yeah, bro, that's what all my clients do. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding, but they probably do. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
But you know what, man? Moment I met you, I could tell you're a genuine dude. You know what I mean? So, and I'm a big Christian. I'm big on my faith. Typically, when I have people on the pod, that's really important to me. Just what their morals are, how they treat people, or if they're making an impact on others. So in your mind, like, how have you made an impact on somebody else as of late?
As of late?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Well, recently, I feel like God called me to kind of like switch career paths, where for a very long time, like, as you guys mentioned, like, I do social media for a living. But for a very long time, all I was doing was my own stuff. I was doing branding, my own brand, JaySpanks Media, just stuff for myself. And very recently, I felt like my calling was to serve others. So instead of just doing social media for myself, I've spent the last, I want to say 5-6 months doing social media content for businesses, business owners, personal brands, and just other people. So feel like more recently I've been able to be a lot more hands-on with others. If you want to get into specific people, we can definitely do that, but I feel like that's the most recent thing I've done.
So serving other, how does so you're a Christian, you love the Lord, right? When did you give your life to Christ?
I would say, I grew up in a Christian household. So it's like, it's kind of just been a thing that like, it's always been a part of my life, So I can remember the day, like, I think it was like Salty, the Dancing Bible. Is that his name? I don't know what his name is, but I remember that day was the day that like I dedicated my life to Christ. I would say also, I don't know, like it definitely counts, but like I was young and not really thinking for myself, And I feel like more recently, like specifically in the last year, I feel like this is the first time where it's like, as a free thinking, full grown man, I'm like, I want to actually decide to give my life over to Christ. But I've been a Christian my entire life. We just grew up in a Christian household.
Yeah. Like I know for me, I grew up in a Christian household as well. I was raised with 2 Christian parents who love the Lord, but it was only until my relationship with God became my own relationship with God. Right. Because a lot of time I went to church. I served in the church because it's just what we did as a family. Right. But then how does it become that like later on in your future? Like for me, it had to become that like where I live it out every single day in my own life. And I think until you graduate high school and until you're out in your own space and in your own world, do you truly develop a real relationship with God? You know Absolutely. What I mean? And so I could definitely kind of relate to you in that aspect. Like grew up in a household, and we all go through ups and downs in our faith walk. But the most important thing is that Christ is at the forefront. Absolutely. And that you can always come back, you know what I mean? And that he's always there. So with that, I really just wanted to take the time out of today to just talk about what you do for a living, because you're super successful in what you're doing right now. Like you said, you have nearly 5.2 across all platforms. You know what I mean? So if you don't mind me asking, because I'm curious, what is it about most channels or most, let's say, accounts on social media that are trying to grow but aren't growing? What do you think the biggest glaring issue is in today's social media space? Ooh. I know it's a deep question, but I got to know.
Okay, so this doesn't apply to everybody, but this definitely applies to like me, and I would say to a majority of people. It's just not putting out enough content. In general, like there's a saying, like people say quality over quantity, but I think first it starts with quantity, and then you learn what quality actually is, and then you go to quality over quantity. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of people don't put out nearly enough stuff just in general. Like if you were to go look at my stuff, the very beginning of my so-called career, I was putting out 3 to 5 posts every single day for 3 straight years. And I didn't miss a day. I remember the first time like I missed a day, which is probably like a little like beginning of last year. Like I freaked out. It was the first time in 3 years where I missed a day. And what I learned from that, I learned so much during that time period, but like the main thing that I could say is like, let's say, for example, let's get down to the numbers. For example, you do 3 posts a day for a week. You do 21 posts in 1 week. Let's say you do daily posts. It takes you 21 days to get to the same place that I was at within a week, right? So you learn so much more within that 1 week than someone in 21 days. You will learn about different editing tricks. You learn about what actually works on social media, what doesn't work. There's just so many different things that you can learn in that time span. What I will say is that not necessarily possible for everybody. Like most people that are trying social media for the first time, they have other things to do. Like you have work, you have friends, family, all kinds of other things. So it's not like posting 3 to 5 times a day is very time consuming. So I understand that. But I will say there are ways around it. You just have to be real smart about it. And we can get into like different ways you can make it a lot faster. But in my opinion, that's like the main glaring issue is just not enough stuff.
Okay.
Not putting out enough.
Yeah. And then a lot of people focus on authenticity. Do you think the authenticity comes from the quality of content, or it's just as simple as just grabbing your phone and just posting something?
I really like to be authentic, but I think sometimes like if you're trying to really play the game, you can't be 100% authentic. Sometimes you have to play the game. It's unfortunate, but you have to also think like you're competing against the entire planet. So you're not only competing against everybody on social media, you're competing against Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, HBO Max. You're competing against everything, video games even. So
when you say competing against everything, do you mean keep competing for everyone's attention? Okay.
Yep. So sometimes you do have to play the game. And I would say like, as long as you're coming at it with the right like approach, like you're not trying to deceive people. You're not trying to create division, then I think it's okay to play the game. So for example, like when I say play the game,
that's what I was just going to ask you. What do you mean
when
by
I say play the game? I would say like for short form content, for example, one of the most important pieces of short form content is the hook. The very beginning of the video, and that might necessarily not sound like how you would talk to a homie, but if you really want to grab someone's attention, and you kind of have to be a little outlandish to start the video, that's playing the game in my opinion. And I think that's okay as long as like you have like the right intentions. Like for example, I'll do hooks all day long. That's not necessarily how I talk, but my intention is to provide comedic relief. So the rest of this video is going to be funny for you, but the beginning of the video is kind of like not very authentic. So yeah, I mean, but I think there's a mix. You want to have a good mix. So like, for example, like I said, I do the hook, but then the rest of the video is not like, it's just like me and my homies hanging out. Like if you go look at some of like my more recent stuff where it's baseball content,
Yeah.
I'll start the hook. It's like, strike me out, spin this wheel. And then I stop smiling. Like, all right, let's roll. You know?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So
Yes.
sometimes it's just about you grabbing their attention right off the bat, and then from
That's
there,
part of the game.
yeah. And so, when you say the game, do you feel like sometimes, like you're not stepping over somebody's toes in a negative way, right? When you're playing the game, you just gotta realize, like, hey, I'm never gonna catch up to these people who are doing the stuff that I should be doing unless I do it. Like,
So have to.
So to your point, some people try to be too authentic to their own detriment.
Absolutely, and it's just too boring.
Yeah.
It's just too boring, and it sucks that this is the world we're in. But you know, like that's the world we're in.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have to do it.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to sucker people in to be authentic.
Exactly.
In a sense. Right.
Exactly. If you have, that's what I was saying. That's exactly the point. If you have the right intentions, then in my opinion, it's okay. You might feel differently. Some people may feel differently, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to like impact people's lives in a positive way.
Right.
You know?
100%. Yeah. And so you've grown your social media following. You said the last 3 to 5 years, you were just posting consistently. Right. And so what type of content do you post? And I want to, because I'm running my business right now. Right. So I kind of want to ask from your perspective, if you had a client, right? Because I know I'm sure you work with other people on how to grow their business or how to grow their social media.
Right.
For somebody who's running a fitness business, how would you help them grow their social media?
Ooh, okay. Well, you kind of like, you caught me because I don't necessarily have a game plan right now. But let's say I was starting it off rip right now, off of nothing. So normally this is what I tell all the people that are my clients right now. First thing you want to do is find people in the space that are doing well. Go through their stuff and look at the type of content they're posting. See how you can relate to them and then emulate what they're doing, but with your twist. So I don't know, who would you say is a successful brand? I don't know, like
or anybody who's on, let's say on social media, who's super popular in the fitness realm. I mean, obviously there's like there's so many. I mean, there's so many fitness influencers or fitness brands right now.
Right.
Really popular ones that come to mind maybe be like Alex Eubank, Sam Sulek, which Sam Sulek really plays like the long form authentic game, which is pretty insane. I don't know if you've heard of Sam Sulek, right?
Yep.
And so there's guys like that who are probably the most popular. The Trend Twins are another one. A lot of like, very, very popular, you know what I mean? But all the content they post is a lot different.
Oh yeah, they all vary, right? So then you would want to go with somebody who's closer towards you. So maybe Alex Eubank, not so much the Trend Twins.
Yeah.
You start there, right? And then you would look into, okay, sometimes what I'll do too is I'll even go to the very beginning of their stuff and see how they started, right? And then I'll go from there. I haven't watched any of like Alex Eubank stuff in a minute. All the stuff I ever see now is just kind of just like edits with music. I don't think that necessarily would work for somebody who's not known. You might want to start somewhere else, and then you get to be the edit person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would test a lot of different things to start though. So you would go in, pick a couple people, test that content form, do a bunch of it.
Okay.
Do a bunch of it to make sure to see which ones stick, and whichever ones work the most out of the stuff you're testing, double down on that. Double down, triple down, quadruple down on that type of content until it doesn't work. Okay. And then once that doesn't work, you go right back to where you started and you start testing different forms of content. Yeah. And then whichever ones work. And then you kind of just do that forever.
Yeah. I want to ask you something too. So I recently got my TikTok account hacked. It was at like 10,000 followers. It's funny. I was posting like 3 to 5 times a day. For only like 5 to 6 months. Nowhere near as long as you did.
That's a great,
but I was able to grow to 10K, but it was mainly off of one video where it was literally like 2 different slides. Like one slide, it was it was just me training, like just a really good quality video of me lifting weights basically. And then I would say like the heaviest PR that anybody's ever lifted. And then the next slide was just Jesus with the cross. So it was like, it was kind of like organic, but it was a twist of something else that I had seen somewhere else. You know what I mean? But something as simple as that, like, I don't feel like you get a good following, you know what I mean? Or how do you even market that? Or how do you even go from there? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you have to be careful to not go viral for the wrong thing? Or is it just at all costs, post whatever is going to garner the most views?
Ooh, okay. Those are completely different in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion, those are completely different. So I would say in general, don't be too worried about like, oh, I've got the wrong followers. You want like, it's better to have attention than no attention, in my opinion.
Yeah.
However, doing whatever it takes to get that attention, I would say it's not necessarily worth it.
And when you say whatever it takes, you mean just don't do anything bad, right?
Yeah, because you can do some crazy, like honestly, like I could tell you 100 different things you could do right now to go viral. Like it would work, right? But you like it. It's not. You might hurt yourself.
Ruin your reputation.
You might ruin your reputation. And like you said that you are trying to lead people to Christ.
Yeah.
Then you're also leading people astray. So I wouldn't necessarily say do anything. I would say that it is sometimes harder to do other things, but it's worth it, in my opinion, to do the other things the right way.
In the example that I gave you, would you say that's a fine way to garner attention? Like, because obviously it's positivity that I'm spreading, right? But
Right.
it's also just a side-by-side image, and it's not really providing anybody value. So if they follow me, maybe they're just expecting me to post a slide thing every single time versus me speaking on the camera and talking about something.
Right. So not every single thing you do is going to be like the most valuable thing in the world. But in my opinion is like, that's why you have you post a lot, right? So you would want to have a catalog of stuff already there for when the person decides to finally come. And now they have a catalog of stuff to binge.
Right.
Let's say they came in just for that, but now they come into your platform and they look at all your other stuff. Now you have like a full podcast of talking about like different things that actually relate to this person. Versus if you didn't have anything else on there, then there's nothing else for them to binge.
Right.
But yeah, in general, there will be some pieces that aren't the most valuable to.
Yeah.
That just is kind of how it works.
So you think a lot of people just think too much when they're trying to post and they're trying to really go viral?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like it makes sense.
Right.
It really does make sense because if you think about it, like in general, when you first start, the only people that are watching are the people that are closest to you, and you care about their opinions way more than the people that are like you don't know because you don't. Like you can see these people, these people that are in this room, like I know they watch, and like I feel that's why I even had Caleb, like had you guys leave the room when I was recording because like I don't want you guys to watch me record.
Yeah. So even though you're so comfortable on camera and posting like reaction videos and whatnot, you still get nervous. You still you're still like almost self-conscious in a sense of what you're posting and how you look or how you do it in front of people. Like we might see it on our phones later, but you just don't want us to be in the
exactly
room.
And even then, like when I post the stuff, I'm like, okay, I don't really care when it goes out for like when it goes out to like my TikTok followers, I don't really care, but I post it to my Instagram, it's all the people that I see all the time, like I care a little bit more. So like you said, I've been doing this for years, so now imagine somebody who's just trying to start out, like it's even more daunting to that person. I would say, in my opinion, it's kind of a skill that you acquire over time. Where you, I wouldn't say care less. It's just that you're more courageous in putting it out. It's kind of it's a skill.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
like what you're saying. To your point, it's a skill, and you practice it so you get better. Just like
Absolutely.
if you played baseball for a long time in your life, correct? We talked about it a little bit before the podcast, and just like you have to go out and practice every day, make sure your swing is repetitively perfect. You have to do the same thing with anything else, and that's what I tell a lot of my clients in the gym, where they expect to come in and do every exercise I ask them to do with perfect form, and I tell them, hey, look, like I've been doing this for however many years. trying to perfect the form, and I'm still perfecting it. I still have the ideology that if I put 100, let's say I was doing, an incline dumbbell press and I was doing 100 pounds, I guarantee you the way I'm doing 100 pounds isn't the way I'm going to be doing 50, because the intensity will grow as the weight grows, right? So it's just not going to look the same. Like if you watch people like Chris Bumstead do our barbell back squat, like it looks like he's on a Smith machine, the way he comes up and down on the barbell back squat. So to your point, it's like people come into the social media game and they want to blow up right off the bat, and you're like, dude, like if it was that easy, I wish I would have blown up when I first started rather than it taking 5 years, right?
Yeah,
like you said.
Absolutely.
So it's really like with anything, you have to practice.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You have to practice. And to your point too, it took me longer than that,
Mm-hmm.
because I started making videos in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
They were really bad. They were not good videos. I've looked all over the internet, and they're somewhere there. We can't find them.
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow I don't know what happened to them. Nah, but they're like, I used to post them on YouTube. Me and my brother. I remember our first camera. We would record like us playing like wiffle ball in the house with like teaching me how to Dougie in the background.
So you were always recording.
Always.
That's something like I hear Logan Paul and Jake Paul talk about a lot. Is like they always recorded even when they were kids, and as they grew up, they just kept doing it, and then they kind of almost knew that like being in front of the camera, recording content was going to be something they did in the future. And then like obviously Vine and stuff like that, and if you catch things at the right time, because I feel like in 2020 that was like the time to pop off on TikTok. Now the TikTok, you correct me, I mean you're the professional, right? But now I feel like the TikTok algorithm is so saturated, compared to maybe what it was before. But give me your take. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, 2020 was the time to pop off. And I was just telling somebody this recently, and I didn't realize it until just now. The reason why it was the time to pop off, which is when like I saw the most growth, is because there was nothing else to do. And so you had no other obligations. So like, let's say for example, right now, like I were to have a job and family, and I wanted to do what I did then, I would not have enough time. The reason why I was able to start my following to begin with is because I had nothing but time. And that, my bad, I apologize. Hopefully the audio guy,
no worries,
forgives me.
That's so funny.
But if you were to try to do that now, it's a lot harder because of like time obligations. But I would say algorithm wise, it's still possible. Definitely still possible because, and I could show you examples. So one of my clients is a baseball park, Granite Park. Caleb knows it. I was able to grow their TikTok account to 55,000 followers in less than 12 videos in less than 2 months. And then I was even able to grow the YouTube account to over 49,000 subscribers in 11 videos. Which I would say is extremely impressive because I can't even do that for my own stuff.
Because you also have to have the right person and the right content.
It is. It's definitely that. But I would say it's definitely like the opportunity is still there. Like algorithm wise, it's still there. And the reason why I know that is if you let's say you start a new account on TikTok, you have 200 followers and you post a video and it gets 1,000 views. That's 5 times the amount of people that are following you, watching your video. If you were to go back 10 years from now and try to do anything like that, it's not possible to get 1,000 views when you have 200 followers.
Yeah.
Like the TikTok algorithm and all these short form content algorithms, there's still opportunity there. Yes, it's a little bit harder, but it's definitely still possible. And with all the information out there, I would say anybody could do it. There's just so much information to figure it out.
Yeah. So from what I'm taking from our conversation today is really like the quantity is much more important than the quality, especially when starting out.
For sure.
And a lot of people get caught up with the little things. So to mention some more little things, like a lot of people focus on, hashtags, right? And do you think that's something that's still prevalent nowadays, or do you think hashtags are just not even a thing that you should include on your posts? And what should people divert more of their focus on after they focus on quantity and putting out good content and
Right.
focusing and like, you know, really perfecting their hooks.
Right. I would say it does matter a little bit. I would say you spend a little bit of time on it just because you want your video to be served to the right audience. Reason being is, let's say you have a baseball video and you don't put any hashtags on it and it gets served to people that like hockey, and people don't necessarily watch it all the way through, then there's a chance that this video doesn't reach its full potential because you didn't put a hashtag on it. I would say spend a little bit of time on it. Don't spend like hours trying to figure out the caption. I would spend more time. I would spend like 10 minutes on it. You literally use, especially now, Chat GPT. Put it up. Put a couple of hashtags that are like, you know, for sure it'll serve it to this audience. And then instead of spending an hour on it, spend that hour making the next piece of content. And I would even say, I wouldn't even go as far as, once you put up that first piece, whatever content you're putting up, don't even look at it. Just start moving on to the next piece already. Yeah. And one thing I used to do a lot is like I would harp on a video. Like I'll put a video up and like sit there and scroll and watch it, see it go up. I was wasting so much time
just trying to do that. It just focus on posting the next
piece and like just not getting attached to that last piece. When the video does blow up, then I'll go back and be like, okay, let's see what we did right here. And then if it doesn't, it's like, okay, I'm already on to the next piece. I'm more focused on this next piece anyways.
So when people post content, sometimes whether it's like YouTube Reels, TikTok, I know I've posted a few podcast clips on YouTube, YouTube Shorts, and some of them will get like 400 views, 500 views, and then one of them will get 2,000 views, and then like most of them will get 0 views. Like why would that be the case for some content creators? Like, is it just because the content literally is not that interesting at all, so nobody would watch it? Or do you think that's an algorithm thing or a shadow ban thing? Or why would that happen to any creators?
You know, the 0 views thing always like weirds me out. Like I normally it's, I have a feeling it has to do with the words said in the video. Or it's a combination of the words said in the video, because there's algorithms that detect what you say, the caption, and then whatever it is. There's just something with the video that the algorithm just does not like, and it's not going to push it out.
Yeah.
I hate it because it's like, bruh, I spent hours on this. So, I mean, like, I don't really have an answer for that. I do know that it bugs me.
Yeah.
I've had it, and I still sometimes will see it with like an account with like several thousand followers, and it still says 0.
Yeah.
Like even my account, like right now on TikTok, I've got 4 million followers, and like I haven't been touching it as much. I get like 2,000 views some days.
Yeah. And it's like frustrating because you're like, wait, I have 1 million followers. Like, shouldn't these be popping up on everybody's For You page? Obviously, TikTok's algorithm is a lot different.
Yeah. And it's not
in that aspect.
We're not asking for 1 million people to watch it, but like, like 10,000 is a lot of people. You can't show this to 0.01% of my following.
Yeah.
Even if they don't like it, give them a chance. Give them a chance.
So, I feel like that's something I think I've definitely struggled with. Everything I'm asking you right now is just stuff I'm curious about because like I've struggled with it, or I'm like, why did this video not get any views? Like, it literally says 0 views on YouTube Shorts. It just doesn't make sense to me. Is there something I need to fix or I need to do in order for it to get more views? Like, how important? And there's like so many little things. Like, do I need to add a sound? Do I need to add hashtags? Do I need to add this? Do I need to add that? Like, all these little minute details. And I hear so much. Just like when I get clients who tell me, okay, well, do I eat this many calories? Do I eat this many calories? Or is this wrong with my body? Or is this wrong with my body? Because they hear so much information that they don't know what to do. And they kind of get combobulated. I don't even know if that's the right word, but you guys know what I mean. Like, you get confused on what exactly is going on. So yeah, like a lot of people, they get 0 views on their social media. And then a lot of people get caught up in like, well, what hashtags do I use? What sounds do I use? All sorts of stuff like that. Like, that's the stuff I get caught up in. And I'm like so worried about the little details. And so it just holds me back from even posting a real like clip or piece of content. So you have clients. What kind of advice do you give people when they kind of have those struggles?
I would say, just like I mentioned earlier, I would say like spend a little bit of time on it.
Yeah.
Because it is like somewhat important.
Yeah.
But I would say spend more time on finding the next piece of content that you want to create. Because that's more important. Or planning your next piece of, like the content that you're working on currently. And then like give it a little bit of time, but not that much time. Cause it really, like, if you go like, seriously search on like social media, just scrolling, you'll see that a lot of the stuff that's like blown up has nothing. There's no like descriptions, no hashtags. They just blow up, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just an indicator that, and I've tested it before too, like myself. I've got several pieces of content that have done really well with little to none when it comes to like SEO or hashtags or anything like that.
So at the same time, it's just post, like
Just
literally,
post.
yeah, just post it and just don't even get caught up in all that stuff. Original sounds matter, don't matter. You know, music does matter, doesn't matter. Like what is your take on that?
They matter a little bit, but if you're spending more than an hour like trying to figure that out, then I would say you're taking too much time.
You're wasting your time.
Yeah. I would just like I mentioned, just start. Like if you have like a hard time starting content, then I would like anytime you have an idea, write it down. I have like several pages of just content ideas.
Yeah.
Write it down, and then when you get in the mood to do something, shoot whatever. Look through the list, shoot it, and then edit it, put it up, and then just do that over and over and over again.
So what do you mean when you say you get in the mood?
I mean, I don't necessarily feel like I think it's just like you have a social battery. Like you don't always want to be in front of a camera at all times.
Yeah.
Like even when I said like I was doing 3 to 5 pieces of content a day, I was not shooting every single day. I would shoot like once every 3 days, once every other day. And even then, like when I was shooting, there were days like I don't want to shoot. Like I just don't want to be on camera. Like I don't want to I don't want to get presentable. I just want to be in my pajamas. I just want to edit videos today. I don't want to have to like put on a face, you know? Cuz like I said, you do have to play the game to a certain extent. So like especially like if I was doing like reaction videos, I can't just be like and cuz it's boring.
Yeah.
So you have to put on like some sort of like a social media voice. It's like a thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing I did want to, kind of mention is like for somebody like me who's trying to build their brand, right? Would you recommend I post something like reaction videos? Do you recommend I just post videos giving fitness advice? Do you recommend I post trendy music with, me working out? Or do you what do you think is something that's actually going to help me grow in that sense?
Yeah, I would say do a mix. But since I'm saying also, you would want to do a lot of content, then you would want to find a way to, streamline a lot of content. So you wouldn't necessarily have to do reaction videos, but what a lot of people do is they stitch videos. Yeah. I don't know if you know JPG.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
So stuff like that, and then you have like so the reason why stitches work is because they find a viral piece of content and then they add their twist to it. So you already know the first piece of the content is viral because it's already tried and true. So you don't even have to figure out if this is viral content. It's already guaranteed to be viral content, and then you add your 2 cents into it. As long as you know what you're talking about. Yeah. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, then you'll probably be flamed. And even if you do know what you're talking about, you'll probably still be flamed because there's people that flame JPG and he's you've seen him. He's a big guy.
Yeah, and he also knows what he's talking about. Yeah, 100%.
But if you go read all of his comments, there'll still be 10 out of 100 that are flaming him.
Yeah, 10 out of 100. I like that.
So, yeah, I would say that could be one of the pieces of content per day, right? Let's say you wanted to do 3 pieces of content per day. That's one, and you could shoot that in 5 minutes. It takes you 20 minutes to find it. So you can have a piece of content in 45 minutes, right? And as you move along, that gets a lot faster, by the way. You'll be able to shoot those in 5 minutes and post them in 5 minutes.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You could, especially what do you do all day? Do you mostly like think about fitness?
Yeah. I mean, fitness is always on my mind. I'm a personal trainer. I'm either in person with my clients, 6 to 8 hours a day, or I'm at home working on fitness programs or doing whatever I need to do for my business. You know what I mean? Trying to just help people make sure I'm on top of all my clients.
Yep, literally. So it's always top of mind. So for you, it would literally be so easy for you to give your 2 cents on something fitness related, in my opinion. Like if I were to talk about social media, it's really easy for me because that's what I do all day long, you know? So for you, it literally it could be like 10 minutes from start to finish for one piece of content, and you already have one piece of content for the day. Then you could start with, I don't know, you could do like, some people, like, how often do you work out?
I work out at least 4 times a week, 3 to 4 times a week right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you could do like a carousel of what your split was for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have 6 exercises. Well, each slide is that, or you can literally just do one video and just do one set, videotape one set, and then just have music. Here's my split for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like literally people go on to like I'll go to GB3 sometimes and like, dang, I need like a shoulder split. So I'll go on TikTok and search up like shoulder split.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be the top guy on that.
Yeah.
The more often you post like stuff like that, you'll be one of the leaders in that space, and people will go to you more often.
Yeah. And to your point,
you're adding value.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To your point though, like, if I'm saying I'm giving value, right? Let's say like I'm like, oh, here's a shoulder split. Should I add a hook to that and be like, here's a free shoulder split? You should
definitely add a hook. You should definitely add a hook, and I would test out different ones.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's say you have one that you think will work.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea until you put it out.
Yeah.
So you put it out, right? This is why I say you have to put out a lot. Is you put it out, and then let's say you wait another 2 weeks, then it's been 2 weeks. You put it out, doesn't work. You have the next day, put out another one, use a different hook. And then what you could also do too, so, since you only work out four times a week, which is a lot, but there's 7 days in a week, is some of the days you would want to double it up.
What do you mean?
So let's say you have like today's shoulder day, right? But you also want to put in an ab cycle at the end of your workout. So now you have 2 videos. You have a shoulder day, and then you go, okay, here's a quick 15-minute ab cycle that you can do.
Yeah.
And then you shot 2 pieces of content in one day, even though you worked out that day once. Now you have 2.
Right.
So there's still now I've given you a way to do 2 pieces of content per day. Third one, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would probably want to, like, I would have to scroll. And
well, you said like ideas. Stitches, stuff like that.
You could do multiple stitches.
Yeah.
Some people literally do, like if you look at Alex Hormozy, right now, he has like Instagram reels of him just standing there. Like it's a picture of him standing there and then like a screenshot of his tweet.
Yeah.
So that's now you have 3 pieces of content per day.
Mm-hmm. And you're just trying to see if it works each and every time.
Mm-hmm.
But should you try something for a long period of time? Like should I keep doing that for a month, and then if it doesn't go well, then switch one of those things up and see what does work well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would give it a little bit of time because you want to give it time that you can tweak that specific piece of content like the way you did it. Like I said, like I'm sure that the shoulder split thing will work, but you might just not have had the greatest hook.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, I gave up on it after a week. It's like, oh, well, you didn't give it enough time. Especially if you watch other people's stuff and you know it works for them, it'll likely work for you too.
Do you think people should post different types of content on their Instagram and their TikTok, or do you think they should post all the same stuff on their Instagram as well? Great
question. I've actually been just testing that recently. I think that, in my opinion, yeah, I got you. Okay. I think that in my opinion, you would want to do a little bit different from TikTok to Instagram, but not too much. I've done both. I've done periods where everything that I post goes to everything. Right now I'm doing like a little cycle of putting out way more stuff on TikTok, and then whatever works on TikTok, I'll put it on Instagram. I don't really necessarily know the exact answer for you for that one. I think it also kind of just depends, and then like for each person it's different, you know. In my opinion, I really like the strategy of posting it to everywhere for this simple fact, because I've had videos where they do 1,000 views on TikTok, 100,000 views on Instagram, 1 million views on Snapchat, 10,000 views on YouTube. It's like, okay, well, I would have missed out on a million views if I didn't post it to all of them. So it kind of just depends, and it also depends on like what you're going for. Like if you're like a if you're like a big brand, like Pepsi, they kind of want to do like they have teams that do TikTok, and they have teams that do Instagram. You know,
Yeah.
so it makes more sense for them. But for like people like small business owners, I would say you're probably fine just putting it on all of them.
All platforms. So I feel like Instagram is the platform to post all the perfect posts on, and then TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that stuff. Like you can kind of be a little bit more whatever with those pieces of content and whatnot. You know what I mean? At least that's a consensus I usually get from most people.
Yeah, I feel like that's how a lot of people deal with it. But you'd be surprised. You might miss out on a lot of you just might miss out is all I was saying.
A lot of engagement.
I've seen it, and I've posted stuff where like I literally it like took me 5 minutes to edit, put it on Instagram, one of my most viewed videos. It's like
And do you think something that blows up on one piece, or like let's say one social media, is bound to probably go viral on another?
there's a good chance. There's a good chance. I would say for the most part, like when one does well on one platform, it'll normally do at least decent, at minimum decent. It won't flop.
Yeah.
In general, at least more recently, all the posts that like have done well on one platform have done pretty well on others.
I've been asking a lot of really different specific advice, but I also just really want to ask the mentality behind having to post and be on social media. Like, how do you deal with it mentally? And do you have stints where you're just like, I don't want to do this? Like, because after those 6 months where I was posting on TikTok for some, like 3 to 5 posts a day, it was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, this is just exhausting, right? But you also in business, and you know this, you have to do the things you don't want to do in order to be successful long term.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So, and you sometimes have to do things you don't want to do in order to do the things you want to do. Like, I want to make an impact on a lot of people, physically and spiritually. If I want to do that, I'm going to have to post often, even if I don't want to, right? Yep. So how do you fight through that? Or is that a fight that you have, or a battle that you have?
It absolutely is a fight that I have. I kind of lie to myself sometimes. I'll be like, well, if I don't post today, I'm going to go homeless. So like, it gives me some motivation to myself. And like, that's exactly how I would treat the first 3 years. Is like, if I do not post today, I will not eat tomorrow. I don't necessarily know how healthy that is.
That's, I mean, an extreme mindset. But do you think there's, I don't know, I hear a lot of opinions where it's like, okay, dude, if you're not extreme, you're probably not going to be successful, is what I hear most of the time. Like, is there a such thing as balance for you?
So if you want, like, in my opinion, if you want balance, then you probably don't want to be a business owner. If you want balance, then you probably should just go get a job, which is, there's nothing wrong with getting a job. Like I think about it sometimes.
That's what I tell my wife, dude. Like sometimes I'm like, you know, this is exhausting. Like, I don't think people understand. And I'm like, I have no right to even complain, right? Because there's people who are like PG&E linemen out in the hot sun, like on like ladders and, you know, stories up high, or like, you know, putting in like this physical enduring work when it's like, oh, I have to edit these clips, like, you know what I mean? and it's like,
I have to be in front of a camera.
Yeah, like what right do I have to even complain or
it's
talk
all about
about
perspective, man. It's all about perspective.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, but it's a lot of mental wear and tear, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So you're like, I don't want to do it, yet I still have to. So to your point, you're saying if you want balance, it's better off to do something else. But like I was saying, like with my wife, I would kind of say like, yeah, like I just feel like sometimes I wish I had the tools to be a blue collar worker. Like everything, every tool I have in my kit or under my tool belt is like meant for creativity and just to like go out and do my own thing. I don't feel like I have the tools. I was never the guy to go outdoors and do stuff, you know, or my dad was always outdoorsy. Like he would always go outside, you know, do the lawn, water the grass. I hated doing the lawn. I hated doing the grass. my dad would like always, go out in the garage and start building stuff or whatever. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So I was just never like that. You know what I mean? Sure. And he works on cars. I just don't care. Like I'd rather just have a Toyota Camry or a Toyota Corolla and just drive a car that's super reliable. Like I've never been into that stuff. Right, you know what I mean? Right. So it just feels like everything under my toolkit is meant to just be creative and just kind of like do whatever. But also it's like, man, I just wish I had the tools or you know what I mean? Yeah. Or it naturally was able to come to me like that, like it does to some people.
Right. You know? And I mean, like God has a purpose for all of us, you know, and it becomes real clear whenever you start to thrive in a certain area, because I mean, like growing up, I didn't know what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. I still don't know necessarily, but then
that's how I feel too.
Yeah. But I have a mentor. His name is Rob Golden. Mm-hmm. And we talk about purpose and like why we're here on earth. And one of the main ways you can tell you're in the field you're supposed to be in is if you're thriving in that field, you know? So you may feel differently emotionally, but like if you can tell, like objectively whether or not you're doing well in that field. So
yeah. To your point, like I work with people. And that's where I've seemed to thrive.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I know I have to be working with people. I know I have to be talking to people. I know I have to be building relationships with people versus some people can just work a job and not talk to anybody the whole day and just do their job, you know? And so I'm not somebody who's really able to thrive in that environment.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I spent a lot of time in this room by myself too. Not necessarily the most fun, but I can definitely spend a lot of time with people too. So I feel you.
Yeah. And I think something that, that's something I definitely struggle with in the past, where I feel like I could never just do anything that I like that everybody else was doing like so quickly. I could never catch on to stuff like that. And I was like, man, what am I supposed to do? Like that was my biggest thing. When I first graduated high school, I wanted to just be an actor. Like that was I was a theater kid in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I like graduated and I was like, I want to become an actor. And you get caught up in the work life. And then I became an employee at Bath and Body Works, and I became a top seller like within 6 months. And all I did was talk to people all day about lotions and shower gels. And that kind of told me like, okay, like I meant to talk to people. And it just like slowly became something where I started to realize, okay, I should be doing this. And then I became passionate about fitness. I'm like, okay, now I can kind of combine both of these skills and use this to help people. Because at some point, like, you just want to make an impact, right? Yeah. Like, you just don't want to like leave this earth and be like, man, did I just do everything for me, or did I do anything for anybody else? You Absolutely. Know, like you said in the beginning, like serve others.
Yes.
I've always had this mindset that I just don't want to live my whole life and serve myself. You know what I mean? Obviously serve God, but I want to serve others and I want to help other people. And I want to be successful, and I want to, be the generation that, like there's this saying I heard on social media the other day. It was like, there's basically this dude who was pouring cup after cup, and the first cup had red in it, and all the other cups were like water with just glass, and it was like clear, and he kept pouring it in each cup, and he was like, this is your bloodline, and this is like what's poverty, depression, anxiety, all these things are running in your bloodline. All like your parents had it, your parents had it, and now it's you. And are you going to be the one to actually make a change and make a difference? Are you like, basically the saying was, it ran in your bloodline until it ran into you. You know what I mean? And so do you feel like I feel like you're making an impact in a really cool way, and so like now you're able to help others do what you're doing, and hopefully help others, like have a better bloodline in a sense. Like that's the mindset I have, because I'm like helping people physically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I can get somebody physically healthier, you know what I mean? Like how much does that help their bloodline? How much does that help their like legacy in a sense, So
I think fitness is really important. Like our whole family is super big on fitness, for a lot of reasons. I'm sure and I'm sure you talk about all the time, but it's more than just physical. It's like, it really does affect your mental health too.
Man, I just wish I could like have you literally just look on my profile and then just tell me, maybe you can do that as we're eating pizza or something like that.
I'm down for that.
I just really want to know like exactly what I need to be doing. Hopefully we've been talking about enough to where it won't only just help me, but like it'll help everybody else listening in on how to grow their social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I know that's a lot, like what a lot of people are doing, especially when we live in the Central Valley. Like, there's only so many people who quote unquote make it out, you know what I mean, or make it quote unquote,
True.
right? Like, luckily we have a lot of people coming out of the Valley who are making the NFL, like, you know, which is super dope to see. But people who are just able to, you know, be successful, like really like provide freedom in their lives, you know what I mean? And so with that, in your business, what is the main goal of your business? I want to know, like, how do you help people with JaySpanks? I mean, JaySpanks Media, that's what it's called, correct?
That's my company name.
Okay,
yeah.
so what is your business? How can you help people who are listening, and how do you help people in general?
Yeah, so I feel like it kind of depends client to client.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, like I tell people, this is like what I specialize in. I specialize in short form content creation. This is what I specialize in, but I'm willing to help you with anything social media related. Whether it be consulting, giving you advice. I'll do for the most part. I do that for free. Like my dad's friends that are business owners, they have questions. Like I have no problem like telling them, like how to deal with how to deal with anything social media related. But then I have clients where they'll tell me exactly what they need and I'll fulfill it. So it can start like it ranges. So I have one client where I do everything, all of her social media, like from start to finish, from coming up with the content idea, putting together a calendar, shooting the content, editing it, and uploading it. I have one client that I do all of it. I have clients where I just do videos and I send it to them and they decide whether or not they want to post it or where they want to post it or how they caption it. I really like that client. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't like all my other clients, but that one's great because like they give me all the creative freedom and it takes me the least amount of time because I don't have to spend time like I said doing the little things which matter. But I prefer to spend most of my time creating content. Mm-hmm. Then I also have a client where it's a little bit of in between. It's like they want some control when it comes to like uploading to Instagram because that's where all their friends are, but they don't have TikTok. So you take over TikTok, YouTube, do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. So in general, like my company's job is to make social media easy for my client, and that depends on who the client is. And we figure out what their needs are and then fulfill those needs as necessary.
Okay, cool. So if somebody was willing to, you know, or wanting to grow their business through social media, they can reach out to you through JaySpanks Media, basically, and get in contact with you. Yep. You and your team can go in, help them out, kind of really encapsulate what they need to do as a business
Absolutely
on social media in order to grow. And what made you passionate about social media?
I my main thing is I like making videos. Mm-hmm. So I'm not necessarily like I always wanted to be like a YouTuber. It's like my main thing is like I wanted to make YouTube videos because like I just thought they were fun. Like the whole process, like coming up with an idea, shooting the videos. I liked being like creative in that aspect. And then editing, like the whole thing from start to finish, from like idea to putting it into like a thing that you can watch. It's like this looks exactly like I imagined it, is why I got into social media to begin with. It's just because I liked that process. And then I found out that people can actually make money doing it. Make a living doing it. And I was like, okay, I kind of want to do that. So that's when I like got real into it. Is like I was already making the videos. I don't have to do computer science. I can just do that. Okay, that's when it clicked. I'm gonna switch over to just doing this.
So initially, you wanted to go to school, do computer science, and go into that and go all in on that instead of doing social media. But once you heard, wait, people make a living on social media, you went all in on that.
Yep. I actually finished college. I got a degree in mathematics and computer science. When I first like started my career, when I like got my first 100,000 followers, I was still in college. And I wanted to finish it because I was already like 3 years in. And you know, as you know, like a career as an influencer does not always last forever. Like even like the biggest YouTubers on the planet, like a lot of them just don't do it anymore. You know, so like I just wanted to have something where like I have a good backup plan. just in case. And like even like right out of college, like I was applying for jobs. I was gonna go be a software engineer. Nothing wrong with being a software engineer. It's just like that's what I was doing. And then I told myself, you know what? Like, what if I just go 100% all in? If it fails, I go homeless. I have a degree. Like I will probably be able to find a job within a month and be fine, you know? So I might as well just give it everything I've got and see what that's like. Because even up until that date, I would spend half my day doing videos and then half my day in school.
Yeah.
So right after college and like a month after college, I finally spent my entire day doing it and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So it was obviously it's a good backup plan just in case anything were to happen. It's funny that you mentioned that because I used to used to watch Smosh a lot.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Ryan Higa a lot. Yep. You know what I mean? Yeah, he was hilarious. Both of those guys were hilarious. Mm-hmm. Like
they're huge.
How to Be Gangster. Yes, bro. And all these videos. Mm-hmm. But now I don't see them at all. And and you're right though, like, and you eventually do kind of outgrow social media depending on the space you're in. Cause now I guess nowadays there's a lot of doctors and people who are very popular on social media, but that they're also an expert in their fields. Right. So like, I don't know how much longer, you know, like people like, or fitness enthusiasts, you know, social media influencers, how long their stint is going to last. And so it's important to have, you know, whether the time you are making a lot of money, the time you are helping a lot of people, you make sure that you're smart about what you're investing your money into, all that kind of stuff, so that when it does die down and you are done being a social media star, you can just chill, you know what I mean, and do the other things that you're passionate about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think that's important as well. But with that, I mean, I think we got so many, you know, so much good advice out from you. I mean, you were able to give me advice on how to grow my social media. So I really appreciate you and everything that you've been able to teach me today. And hopefully a lot of our audience is able to learn something from it too. You know what I mean? So where can they find you, man? Where can they find you?
I'm on all platforms, even Pinterest.
Pinterest?
Yes.
What about MySpace?
You know, MySpace is deprecated now, but I did have a MySpace. I didn't go by JaySpanks then, but you name it, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, everything is JaySpanks on all of them. There's a funny story about my username, but maybe we'll talk about that the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll definitely have another one.
Okay.
Because I know people are going to have to hear more about how to grow on their social media.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, and with that, this is Righteous and Real Podcast. And, you know, we're done. You know what I'm saying? I forget how I usually outro.
That was cool.
We out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you. So make sure to find them on all platforms.
Right on.
Let's get it. There's usually like a outro that I usually say. Oh, yeah. Here, let me say that real quick.
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, stay righteous, stay real. We out. Peace. That's usually what I say.
That's authentic.
Yeah, true, huh? The difference.
There's a line.
That's so funny, dude. Oh my gosh.
Peace out.
We are. Do you know? We feed the pump in the muscle.